All right, welcome everyone. Has everyone had a bit to eat? All good? Come down the front, guys. Come and sit down. Get away from those tables, Glenn. You're working now. Thank you for coming tonight. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces as well. And it's nice to see people bringing their kids along. You know, we're passionate about educating people. That's what we do. So if you feel that this seminar is of value to anyone, in a couple of weeks we'll have a webinar as well. So you can send that on to anyone you like, okay? So tonight it's not a tax session, so please get involved. I've got some nice chockies here. Can everyone hear me down the back? Is that all right? Nice chockies. If there's some sensible questions, we'll be throwing those out. If I used to have a teacher who used to throw the duster. Did anyone have one of those? And he used to look like the Lion King when he gets you between the eyes. So if you fall asleep, you might get one of those. But wealth and property. Obviously, it's an interest to everyone. Who's interested in money? Show of hands, please. Who's interested in making money smarter, faster, and easier? It's a bit of a trick question. Hopefully tonight I can share a few of my ideas that I've learnt along the way about money. So it's about ideas. It's not a tax session tonight. Basically, for you people that don't know me, I've been a tax consultant for about 25 years now. I've always been very passionate about money. And I remember as a young kid getting the tractor and my young cousin, and we'd put a trailer on the back. We'd go down to the apricot paddock, pick a few boxes of apricots and pull up on the main road, which is Benalla Road, and we'd transfer those apricots for Dad's apricots for cash. And I thought, this is too easy. So I think I fell in love with money back then. I was so passionate about learning about money that I went to work for one of the wealthiest, and still is one of the wealthiest gentlemen in Shepparton. Who remembers Ollie's Family Restaurants?
You haven't paid you there?
I didn't say that. Ollie's Family Restaurants. I was a trainee accountant. I just finished my 2-year diploma, and I thought, if I'm going to learn about money, I need to go and work with someone who knows about money. And I was getting paid $300 a week. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was taking $250 across to Sandhurst Trustees from ANZ, and I was putting $50 in my pocket. I know now what I was doing. That gave me enough money to save a deposit on a warehouse, and I built my first warehouse when I was 20 years of age. I still have that warehouse. But back then, I was getting $300 a week for working 40 hours a week, and my first tenant gave me $300 a week. So I thought, what's going on here? This is too easy. I can work for 40 hours or one phone call a month and I still get $300 a week. So I had this love affair, I suppose, with property from a very young age, and luckily, and you know, I haven't made money from reading books, and I could tell you here that I'm a chartered accountant and I'm a real estate agent. I did my 2-year real estate course probably 30 years ago, and I'm a financial planner, and you could say, so what? And I don't blame you, because I haven't learned anything from school about making money. I learned from having a go and perhaps copying other people, and not sitting on the sidelines, taking a few risks. I made some mistakes along the way, and hopefully I'll share a couple of those with you tonight. But it's about having a go. So hopefully we can share a few of those things with you tonight. So a lot of people will give me the weakest. I'm lucky enough to sit with hundreds and hundreds of people, and you get to know their most intimate secrets, and I'm pretty privileged in that regard. And you see some people that go ahead and leaps and bounds, and other people sit stagnant for 10 years, and you start to get an understanding what works and what doesn't work. And luckily I've copied a few people along the way, and I've taken a few risks and made a few mistakes. So, you know, if you haven't succeeded in property, it's probably because you haven't failed enough. That's all I can say, because I've made lots of mistakes along the way. So, you know, money is an idea. So if we get started, and you know, you don't, the old cliche, you don't have to be wealthy to invest, but you do have to invest to be wealthy, and that's what tonight's about, I suppose. If we can just give you some ideas on how to use your lunch money to invest and get into the market. As I said, I hear, when I sit with people, I hear every reason under the sun why they shouldn't be investing. You know, interest rates are too low and property prices are too high. Interest rates are too high, property prices are too high, the neighbour lost money on property, every excuse under the sun. I can't afford it in my business. So, you know, it's probably the weakest reason, or in their mind, a good excuse why they shouldn't get invested in property or shouldn't take that first step to financial freedom. So, and along the way, I've seen some funny ideas. The fact that you get more money doesn't mean that you get better with money. You need to be educated about money. I've seen people that, and we've got plastic surgeons in Melbourne that they earn $400,000 and spend $450,000. So giving them more money doesn't really mean anything. So it's about what you do with money. But wealthy people, or rich people, whatever you call them, they leave clues. So hopefully you've got a mentor or someone that you can, like I did, mould yourself on. That'd be me and Trix, I think. But what's the problem? What's the problem in Australia? Because we are the lucky country, aren't we? We're the lucky country. Well, why is it that 1 to 5% of Australians retire wealthy? 1 to 5%. So this is a survey that was done out of 100 people retiring. Sorry, this is playing up a bit. Sorry. 54% are dependent on the pension. What's that now, Trix? What's a pension? And I'm not trying to be smart to people on the pension. What's the pension? Where's Trix? He's done a runner, has he? 20 grand. Oh, sorry, mate. 20 grand? A couple. So 500 a week combined. 600 a week combined. Okay, 24 have gone to the pearly gates. 12 are broke. 5% are still working. And 5% are financially secure. So that's pretty scary, that's pretty daunting to me. And it's not about retiring that motivates me. This is an article from the Herald Sun just last year, and just confirming that Aussies aren't leaving enough in retirement. So we're the lucky country, but what do you think stops people from having a go? Let's call it having a go, because I like that saying. Who's up for a chocky? What do you think stops people having a go?
Fear.
Come on, don't be shy, let's make it.
Fear.
Fear. Chocky?
Absolutely. 2, thanks.
2 chockies. Fear, that people are paralysed with fear about losing money. I was with someone yesterday who had $650,000 in their super fund. He's at retirement age. And he's got all his money invested in shares. Now, normally we would say this is not a right fit. But you know what? He made a $120,000 return on his money, and I couldn't help thinking that $600,000 in the bank, because that's what most retirees would do, is what? What's that? 2%, 12 grand. So, you know, the fear of losing money sometimes can keep you in your little box. What else? What else stops? Sorry? Lack of understanding, absolutely. Chocky. Good catch. So lack of understanding, you know, it's about people not being financially savvy and not getting financially savvy. So they're too scared to take that first step. And there's a lot of other things as well. But there's one thing that I know for sure, being an accountant and sitting in front of people, you have to take risk and you have to become an investor. So you'll probably hear that quite a bit tonight. Relying on your wage alone or relying on your business by itself, what I see is not enough. You know, at the moment, I said we're a real estate agent. We see a lot of business people say to us, look, sell our business for us. But at the moment, there's no buyers in the market. It's very, very tough. So people have this unrealistic concept of what their business is worth, and they're going to hang their boots up and they're going to get this big bag of money, but it's just not happening. So you can't really rely on your business, and you can't rely on your wage by itself. There is a, has anyone read Cash Flow Quadrant? Right, a couple in the room. Just quickly, what was that? Cash Flow Quadrant, he talks about employees and different frame of mind where employees want to be paid for every... Now, whether this is right or wrong, I'm not sure. A bit of grief there. So he's saying that these people here want security. The self-employed person. And that the employee likes to be paid for every minute. He talks about the self-employed being an expert, but they are also, they don't want to be paid for every minute. They work many hours for nothing. They are experts in what they do, but they are limited to the amount of hours in a day. Does that make sense? Is that resonating with, well, no, it resonates with me. I'm a self-employed person. And he basically says you will not experience wealth unless you cross over to the right side. Now, a lot of people think they have a business, but what in fact they have is a job where they're self-employed. So he's saying you either become a business owner, let's talk about Macca's, or you become an investor. So if you're an employee, he's saying to experience wealth, you must also be an investor. If you're a self-employed person, you must cross over to the right side and be an investor. Otherwise, you are limited. The employee is taxed, and we'll go into that, is taxed at the highest rate. The self-employed person, at least, can play around with how much tax they pay. Okay, so it's very important to understand the difference there. So one thing for sure, we can't rely on the pension. Is that very clear there? So this is pretty much what happens. You know, people save along the way, and then the emergencies come up, a new car or a wedding or a house renovation, and when we get to the dependence line, it just isn't enough. So what we see is, and me and Glenn talk to a lot of retirees, it depletes very, very quickly. And unfortunately, what happens is they usually sell down their home and move on to a smaller house to try and make things last. Let's just see how long it lasts. So this is quite common. Is that a fair thing? So this is quite common. We get $300,000, people retiring with about $300,000. Now, if your yearly expenses are around $50,000 a year, let's just say for the purpose of this, that $50,000, say you're lucky enough to get 7%, which is very hard to do at the moment. If you get 3%, it'll last you about 6 years. 7%, possibly 7 years. So it's just not enough. In a lot of cases, people have to go back to work. There you go, 300,000, 50,000 per year, 6 years and 10 months. So let's be honest here tonight. You really need to do the sums. It's like coming back from holidays and standing on the scales. I know I always get scared when that happens. So you need to say, well, what do I need to retire? And we're not talking about retirement here tonight, but I need to have that end in sight. So in retirement, a lot of people have more time on their hands. So you're probably playing golf or driving around Australia. So if you're spending $55,000, you probably need at least, probably more, but let's say you need 90% of what you're currently spending now. So you can do that sum by basically saying, right, this is what I need now, 90%. The return on investments currently, we'll say you're lucky enough, you get 6%, and that will give you the capital sum that you need
Now, I'm not talking about your house here, I'm talking about the capital sum that you'll need to generate income, $833,000. So you can do that little calculation yourself, or we can help you do that. But it's crucial that you have a look at that now and see whether there's going to be a gap. Because basically what happens, we have our savings in our 300,000, but when we do the needs analysis for people, we find out that 300,000 is only going to last for so much in time. So there's a gap and there's a shortfall. So how the hell do we close that gap? How do we close that gap? Because I'll tell you something that I know for sure. A bag of money is not going to fall out of the sky the day you retire or come on the FedEx truck. We need to do something about it. So as financial planners, we try and just prompt people to, sometimes it's a bit shocking, but you really need to decide whether you're going to be on Struggle Street, whether you're going to be comfortable, or whether you're going to be in Prosperity Town. You really need to decide that today. And I think you need to be honest with yourselves. And it's not easy sometimes. So what's the answer then? Working smarter, not working harder. Because when I speak to people, they always tell me what they do in top line. That doesn't mean anything. And I'll say to them, what are you taking home? Number one, bottom line. What are you doing with it when you take it home? Because it's not how much we make, it's how much we keep and what we do with it that counts. So working smarter, as I said to you before, you need to cross over and become an investor and get money working for you. Now, I've learned that there's no get-rich-quick schemes. In my 20 years, I've seen ostrich farms, retirement villages, almond plantations. I've seen them all. Lucky we didn't get involved in too many of them. There is no way to create, you need a wealth vehicle. It could be these chairs if they were going up in value. Some people tell me their cars go up in value. They might have the old HQ in the back. That's the way they justify it. Oh, well, that's good. If it goes up in value, that's great. But most cars go down in value, unfortunately. So for me, it's not about retirement. It's about, I ask people quite a lot, especially when I see business people, what did you do before? First I say, how's business? Oh, pretty good, flat out. What did you do before? I was a manager for $70,000, just making some fly. I was a manager for $70,000 at Tatbee. The Chura Milks. And they might have said to me, look, I was working 5 days a week. I decided to go into business. And I said, is it what you expected? Not really. I'm working 7 days a week. How much are you taking home? 40 grand. So you're working 7 days a week, taking 40 grand. What did you go into business for? To create a better lifestyle. I hear that quite a lot. That's why we go into business, yeah? To create a better lifestyle. So I try and get people to think about money, but if they're going to become financially savvy, they need to follow the rules of money. I wish I knew this when I was 20, because I used to loan money to my mates and I'd never give it back, I didn't understand. But the rules of money, to follow the rules of money, and that is, you write this down, it's saved me so much money. Before you part with $1, how secure is my capital? How secure is my capital? What return will I get? I wonder how many business people don't ask that question before they tip money into their business. And when will I get my money back? And if you can't answer those three questions, don't do it. People say to me, look, I understand that, but there's never any money in the account. There's never any money in the account. So how do you expect me to invest? there's always creditors to pay, there's wages, you don't expect me not to pay wages. And I say to them, I'll tell you what, have you ever had, who's had cash in their wallet and they've come back from the weekend and all of a sudden you look in there and the moth flies out and there's nothing left and you're thinking, what the hell do I do with that money? Anyone?